What is up, guys? Finally got some sleep. Kackis here. Thank you so much for stopping by, and today we are going to be taking a look at the brand new exotic quest weapon, the Bastion fusion rifle. Now I know your feeds are filled with best new exotic ? But this video is going to be a little bit different. We're not just playing a crucible match. We are taking this weapon, having a full fire team, all 6 people utilizing this through the entirety of the largest raid in Destiny's history, The Last Wish, and ranking this weapon's performance on every single encounter. How does this brand new exotic actually fare in an endgame activity? Let's find out. But first things first, we gotta take a look at this weapon's exotic perks. So, intrinsically, it has Saint's Fists, charged to fire 3 spreads of kinetic slugs. And this perk is really what's making people kind of call this a charge up, fully auto shotgun, honestly. Moving on from there, we have another unique perk here with Breakthrough. A portion of this weapon's damage bypasses elemental shields. So even though it's kinetic, you can use it against shielded enemies more regularly, similar to the Arbalist. Now, how does it perform in the first encounter of Last Wish against Kalli? Well, here you're going to have to be holding down the plates and thralls are going to be charging at you, but you can really kill these with anything. So the Bastion is actually better than normal at clearing out large groups of red bar ads, especially these like low level ads, because you can just sweep an area on your screen and kill everything there. This puts out a large an area of damage if you're doing that. But let's talk about the actual damage phase. So, we're using a bubble for weapons of light, a lunafaction well for faster reloads, and a melting point for the debuff. It's a right proper damage phase, and as you can see, this weapon is outputting a decent amount of damage. We already have something actually really interesting to talk about. It turns out the Bastion does not get precision damage in the traditional way. You will not shoot an enemy and see yellow numbers. Now you're seeing a little bit of yellow numbers here because of the debuff from Melting Point, but otherwise they would not be there. But at the same time, this weapon kinda does do precision damage, in the sense that against Kalli and against several other enemies in the game and during this raid, you are going to do more damage for hitting Kalli in the head than you are for hitting her in the body. This is going back to the days of Destiny 1, where fusion rifles, even though, again, they wouldn't have those precision numbers pop up, they would do increased damage to red bars, especially for hitting them in the head. And the same is true here. So we did that first damage phase, and we were not able to one-phaser. We got pretty close, but not quite. So we did it again, this time getting really up close and personal to make sure all of those pellets hit Kalli's head, and again, specifically aiming for the head to do that extra damage. And this time, we nearly did half of her health in one part of this damage phase, and we were able to easily close it out and get the one phase. So that is a very interesting kind of property of this weapon, and it's something to definitely keep in mind. Overall, during this encounter, a one phase is a one phase, and that is pretty impressive. I've got to give the Bastion here an 8 out of 10. Definitely above average, not quite upper echelon. However, it is time to move on to the next encounter against Shiro Chi. Now for this, we have to do 1/6 of her health or we wipe as a team. So it's very important this does not only enough damage output, but does it fast enough. Can it actually do that? Well, as you can see, yes, it can. It actually pretty easily gets that chunk of Shiro Chi down. Now, it is definitely taking longer than other weapons out there, but I don't think we were ever in serious danger. And you will see us use the Bastion for every single one of Kalli's damage phases, and we get her to that point every single time. So in terms of damage output, more than enough, more than sufficient for this particular encounter. But the thing about Shiro Chi is that unlike Kalli, where you just have a little bit of ads to deal with, Shiro Chi has a lot of ads to deal with. So how is the Bastion against those? Well, again, against like large groups of red bars, it's phenomenal. It is kind of sad to use this on like one red bar because they're dead in the first shot, and then you have those two other kind of burst shots almost wasted on them, so you're trying and hoping that adds will actually group together, because this thing is actually not that ammo efficient. You don't have a ton of ammo to spare with this weapon, especially if you're also using it for DPS. But against the harder enemies like knights and the yellow bar Eyes of Riven, it schmelts them. It just tears through those guys, especially if you, again, do similar to Shiro Chi, kind of get up close in their face, put an entire burst right in their head, you're gonna kill them. So, overall, in the Shiro Chi encounter, I think the Bastion gets another 8 out of 10. It is certainly a pretty powerful weapon to use here. And remember, it's just a special weapon. You know, a heavy weapon would obviously output so much more damage, but you have certain ammo concerns with that. Moving on from there, we have another boss phase. This one is all or nothing. There's no 1/6, there's no 1/3 in hiding into these corridors. It's kill Morgeth or he kills you. Now, there's technically a way to extend the damage phase, but we're not about that life. We going for the one phase. Now, the first part of Morgeth is definitely dealing with a lot of adds. It can basically kill the red bar ogres in one single burst, which is pretty cool from pretty far away as well. And just overall, it's been decent against adds. It's decent here. It's kind of especially good here because all of the taken scions spawn together. So you could just do like one sweeping shot and kill like 3 or 4 with a single bullet, which is very efficient. But moving on to the actual damage phase, as you can see, this thing is pretty decent. This thing is pretty decent, and we were able to get the Morgeth 1 phase. However, it was kind of close. It was kind of close, and potentially cutting it a little bit more close than some of the other boss fights we've done with Kalli and Shiro Chi. And to be perfectly honest, I ran the previous exotic quest weapon, the Devil's Ruin, through this raid, and it killed Morgeth in a 1 phase, maybe like barely longer than the Bastion, and that is a primary weapon. So a primary weapon and the Bastion are pretty similar in terms of damage output, and I think it's because Morgeth has that weird crit that really relies on precision damage, and because the Bastion technically can't get it, it's a fusion rifle, this gun does kind of suffer here. Again, it's still capable of the 1 phase, it's just like not great. And therefore here, I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. But it is time to move on to the vault encounter. This one's interesting. Like, this one is always interesting. Everyone skips ahead to Riven, but there is a boss fight for pretty much every single encounter in this raid except for this one. So the vault encounter is a pretty practical scenario for a lot of the content you're going to be doing in Destiny 2, where there's some pretty hard to deal with majors running at you every once in a while, but otherwise it's just normal adds. And sometimes weapons that excel against the bosses suffer here and vice versa. Well, what about the Bastion? Certainly against the groups of red bars, as usual, it's pretty phenomenal. And you again have the benefit of them often grouping up when they spawn and when they're running at you as well. Of course, the really important things you want to be able to damage are the knights that are trying to wipe your team. And against these knights, the Bastion puts out a pretty reasonable amount of damage, but nothing absolutely amazing. I was kind of surprised by just how little of a chunk you actually do with the Bastion. You are, if you're solo, likely going to need 4 or 5 shots to kill a knight. Now the thing is, that's absolutely not the worst thing in the world, and the way the Bastion outputs its damage means that you are going to be stunning the knight for pretty much every single shot, so you stun lock him and finish him off. But an entire magazine to kill a knight, that does concern me just a little bit. It also doesn't help that this weapon is pretty slow shooting overall. The charge time is definitely on the longer side for, fusion rifles, and its actual shots of like boom, 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 that's not the best fire rate either. So if the knight is already on the plate, it is just going to take you too long to kill that thing with the Bastion. So it's not as good as I would have liked it, and yet it's still not terrible or anything like that. So overall, in this encounter, I think I've got to give it another 7 out of 10. It's certainly still above average, but a little bit further away from that upper echelon as other weapons. Alright, but moving on from there, we have the Big Daddy damage phase against Riven herself. Now, this time, we going for the cheese. Obviously, we just want to see how much damage this weapon can do against Riven in a very short period of time. And previously with the Vault, again, I mentioned the rate of fire and the charge up time actually isn't that great. So it's pretty good at putting out damage over a longer period of time, but in those short bursts, it might suffer. So against Riven, as you can see, using a melting point, doing everything, we were capable of almost 500,000 damage. None of us crossed that mark, but many of us came within, 25,000 damage or so. So pretty close, but that sort of damage is simply just above average, but that's it. I mean, it's decent. We did over half of her health, and we were closer to killing her than not for sure, but it's not capable of getting the one phase, and it's not necessarily standing head and shoulders above other special weapons out there, even legendary special weapons out there. So this weapon is just slotting in right at that 6 out of 10 rating, simply being above average but not excelling. But we actually do have one more encounter, and that is the Queen's Walk encounter. How does the Bastion perform here? Well, there's a lot of ads, and the Bastion is pretty good against them. For one of the first times, actually, we have some shielded ads when you're first coming out of Riven's mouth, and so you get the benefit of being able to tear through those with a primary weapon. If you do get teleported into the nether region or whatever it's called, there is large groups of tons of red bar ads, really great to mow down with the Bastion. You do have those knights from the Vault encounter. Now this time, you don't have the threat of them trying to wipe your team, so you can take a little bit more time to kill them if you want, so the Bastion is fine there. Overall, in this encounter, it just performed fine. The thing is, it's not very good at long-range engagements, and you do have some parts where you want to kill enemies before you get to them. The Bastion doesn't really work against them and actually can struggle against the phalanxes, the taken phalanxes, because they'll cover up with their shield at the exact time your burst is firing. So overall here, I think it gets just another 7 out of 10. Above average for sure, but just not extra spicy. And so that brings us to our overall rating. How is the Bastion in this entire raid? How does the Bastion perform in an endgame activity? And I think that this weapon, it's one of those things that is clearly above average, it is clearly unique, and yet it's not quite as potent as it could and arguably should be to compete with the big boys. This is a cool weapon, undoubtedly, and it's getting a lot of one phases against these bosses, which is certainly impressive. But is it going to replace any existing strategies? Absolutely not. And therefore, I think its overall rating is a 7 out of 10. Above average, not breaking any ground here. Guys, that's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed, found this informative, and if you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at @RickKackis. That's linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.